Hello, I'm Donna Krug, and I'm with the Cottonwood Extension District, which includes Ellis and Barton counties. I am the Family and Consumer Science Agent, as well as the District Director for the Cottonwood District. Today, I am bringing some information to you through a program titled, It's Easy to Be Green. So, what exactly does it mean to be green? Let's think about history just a little bit. Take yourself back a few years, maybe as a child and when you grew up. And being green meant a lot of things to different folks, but a lot of times you thought of hanging your clothes out to dry, or planting a garden for much of the food that you were going to be eating. It really was living simply. It was kind of a necessity for families to work together to get through each day and get through each month. And so living green was just part of that. You know, if we go into the 21st century though, living green has become sort of another buzzword, and people are starting to think maybe we should look into being more green, and let's leave less of a footprint when we leave this earth. And so today, as I go through the fact sheet with you, It's Easy to Be Green, I hope that you'll think of ways that you can perhaps start recycling or do some reusing of some things. And we'll have some fun with it too. There'll be some fun things to see at the end that may surprise you just a little bit. We are probably all familiar with the fact that we create a pretty good amount of trash, and so the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, actually came up with a study where they said that the average person is producing about 5.9 pounds of trash each day, and about 1.5 pounds of that is being recycled, but that leaves over almost 4.5 pounds. That is the rough average of daily waste that a person makes, and that is a lot of trash. So we want to take a look at some of the things that we could do a little differently that would help us to not be producing that much trash. In the fact sheet, it is available on the website that is the Kansas State Research and Extension website, and you can Google this fact sheet so you would be able to get this information if you would like to look at it further. The amount of trash specifically that we do produce, 38 pounds of newspaper are thrown away by each of us in a year's time, and so that's quite a lot. And if you keep looking down the list, you see that 48 pounds of books, 25 pounds of office paper is thrown away by an average person, as are 22 pounds of paper plates or cups, and then 28 pounds of aluminum beer or soda cans are thrown away, and that would be a lot of them because they don't weigh very much. We also know that 77 pounds of plastic bottles, similar to the one that I have here, is recycled each year. And then we have 90 pounds of clothing or shoes that get thrown into our trash and then goes to the landfill every year. And 77 pounds of cardboard will tend to land in our trash instead of in the recycling bin. So if you look closely at that list, each one of the things on that list could be recycled. So it just takes a little bit more thought as you are putting things into your trash. And now I need to probably explain too that it depends where we live. Not every recycling accumulation center will take all of these items. But if you can get to a larger venue, a place where they do take all of these things, there are ways to get these things recycled. Something that you're probably familiar with is the recycling sign that you see, or the symbol that we see on many of the items that we recycle. It is actually 3 green arrows, and these arrows, each one of them stands for something as it relates to recycling. And the first arrow relates to collection. Collection is what you and I are most familiar with because that is actually what I've just been talking about. Keeping newspaper or paper and taking it to the recycling center. or instead of throwing clothes away, taking them to Goodwill. So that would be the collection part of it. You going through your closet or through your drawers or your cabinets or even your trash and looking for things that can be recycled. That is the collection phase. The next arrow relates to remanufacture. So this would be where you would take the items to a recycling center, and then they in turn have machinery that will help to remanufacture that into something that you can use. I know our recycling center in Great Bend is really hoping that people will get with it and bring lots and lots of glass, because they spent a lot of money on a piece of equipment that will recycle glass and make it into usable items that can be put into when they are redoing roads, many other things. And so, but we need to get it collected and taken to the place where the machinery can remanufacture it into something that can be useful. And then the final arrow stands for resale. And obviously, after new products are made from recycled items, then those can be resold. And so it's just a really neat, complete symbol that just shows the arrows all going the same direction and all working together to leave less of a footprint. When we come back from a break, I will be visiting with you a little bit more about how to know if plastics are recyclable. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
The best part of our technology doesn't come from smartphones. It comes from a powerful network backed by infrastructure that we're always improving. We invest in this network so that you get the most from your technology. It's a network that's going anytime, anywhere, for anything and anyone.
For a limited time, get a free Samsung Galaxy S10e or iPhone XR when you activate any device.
Nex-Tech Wireless, keeping you connected.
At Rogers & Associates Insurance, we serve the Midwest. We offer home, auto, commercial, and farm insurance policies and provide solid options for life and health insurance. For those unexpected life events like hail, wind, deer crashes, fender benders, and the little things in between, we can help you ensure what matters most in your life. Let us help you design a plan that meets your needs and budget. Visit us online or call us at 1-800-569-0118 to learn more.
Hello again. I'm Donna Krug with the Cottonwood District, here sharing the information about It's Easy to Be Green. I have a few things on my table here that will help me to show you some of the items that can be recycled. And again, as I mentioned in my first segment, there may be some things that your recycling center will not accept, and it really just depends what they can accommodate. But most places do have a number of different plastic items that can be recycled. And probably the most common one would be the water bottle, such as this. And if you look at the bottom of it, it has that recycling symbol, the arrows that go in a circle, and inside there is a number 1. And that shows us that it is a PETE or PET, which means that it is very recyclable. So many of the things that you would get similar to this would be water bottles, soft drink bottles, juice as well. Sometimes detergent or cooking oil bottles could be in this kind of plastic, but sometimes they are a little bit higher number. So let's kind of go through some of the other numbers. I believe this one, which is more of a whitish plastic, still plastic, but it was a milk bottle. It has the recycling symbol and it has the number 2. That means it is the HDPE or high density polypropylene. And so many times it's things like milk or water jugs, as well as butter tubs or detergent bottles. And again, I know our recycling center does not take these, but some do. So you just need to find out what your recycling center takes. I don't have an example of a number 3, but that is a polyvinyl or a PVC. And that would be things like cooking oil, detergent bottles, sometimes medical tubing or siding, pieces of siding that have been worn out and used, vinyl window frames, even carpet tiles and carpet backing, floor tiles and carpet backing. So those are the kinds of things that might have a number 3, but again, could potentially be recycled. A number 4 would be things like a dry cleaning bag or many of the frozen food or bread bags that we have, and also squeezable bottles. So some of those juice pouches, they are a number 4. A number 5 would be things like the caps of some of the bottles that I've shown you. Things like that are polypropylene, and sometimes they are not as easily recycled. Things like yogurt tubs. You know, straws are a number 5, and we hear a lot in the news about recycling straws through the fact that, you know, California has outlawed them. They have not been outlawed here in our state, but let's think about it. If we could maybe refuse those straws and maybe be able to manage without some of those things. The number 6 is a polystyrene, or PS, and I do have an example of that. It's one of my least favorite things, and that is the styrofoam. That's what we call it. That's the brand name. But this type of cup is recyclable. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of places that will take it. You'll have to go to a larger, more metropolitan area where they have the machinery to accept something like this. But again, it does show on the bottom, it has the recycling symbol with a 6 in it. So it is that number 6. And then finally, a number 7. And I didn't know if I could find a 7, but I did. Actually, sitting in my office was this reusable water bottle. Very nice bottle, but it's very hard. You can kind of see that you can put a little pressure on it, but it's still pretty hard. But inside the recycling emblem is the number 7. So it is a polybicarbonate, and it is more durable, and we do want you to go ahead and reuse these as much as you can. But once it becomes maybe cracked or not able to be used, then know that it can also be recycled. So I kind of wanted to show you that as we move forward. So the next piece of information I have to share is about helping you find 5 principles of zero waste from our experts. And the first one is to refuse. Refusing to buy things that have a lot of packaging. I'm thinking back to the last time I bought, they were some different things for my printer, some inkjet printer cartridges. And they came in this huge piece of cardboard with some plastic, and that actually had some recyclable parts, but at the time you're thinking, oh man, do I really need all that packaging? Unfortunately, that's the way it comes, and so if you need that piece of, if you need those goods, then you'll have to buy it in that way. But there might be some things that you can think of that you can just refuse. In other words, instead of buying things in plastic bags in the produce department, if you take a recycled bag of your own, you can put those vegetables directly into the bag and then take them as you go up to the checkout, get them back out of your bag to be checked, to pay for them. So there are some things that you could refuse, some of the packaging that is on things. The other things you can do would be to just reduce the number of things you buy, and look and see if you don't need something, then just simply don't buy it. And that is actually a tip for zero waste from our experts. A third idea is to reuse or repurpose worn out items. You can shop for used goods. You could purchase reusable products like stainless steel water bottles. Going to the resale shop for clothing and then taking your clothing when you're finished with it to a resale shop would be a great way to keep that cycle going. The fourth principle is to compost, and up to 80% of our waste that we produce by weight is actually organic material that could decompose, but so often when we put it into our trash, it does not decompose. And that's the saddest thing, because we know that it could, but it needs to be put into a compost pile. And so that's something you could look into, either purchasing a composter, or you can make your own pretty easily as well. I know in our backyard we have a couple of compost bins that were made from old trash cans that were just getting a little bit warped, but my husband drilled holes that were about an inch in diameter all around. In fact, our son, who was still at home at the time, helped him with that project. And you need some air to get into that. And then we just started composting our vegetable waste from when we were cooking. And it's amazing how much it adds up over time. And it really gets nice and hot in the summer, and we can break that down in just a matter of a few weeks. So that is a really neat thing. And then the final way or principle for zero waste is to recycle. And I'm hoping that my passion and enthusiasm for this will rub off, and that you'll think of things that you could take to the recycling center. It does take some energy to then reuse these things and make them into something new, but it is so much better than sending them to the landfill and seeing that they don't break down for a long, long time. So we're ready for another break, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to a young lady who is very passionate about recycling, and then we're going to take a look at some of the things that, when they go to the landfill, how long it takes for them to decompose. So we'll see you back in just a couple of minutes.
What a girl wants in her home kitchen: ease of use, flexibility, fun, the latest kitchen design, Frigidaire Professional Real Stainless Steel for fewer finger smudges, a French door refrigerator, convection cooking, and quiet dishwasher. Have the staff at Genuine Appliance in Hayes demonstrate new Frigidaire Gallery appliances to find what you want. Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th Street in Hayes. Everything a girl wants.
High Plains Podiatry, the team's greatest joy is seeing you doing what you love to do. Dr. Rob Hens addresses all problems of the foot and ankle with leading-edge capabilities. They travel extensively, serving in satellite clinics near you. Their growth in southwest Nebraska is a direct result of the caring and personal treatment they give their patients. Let High Plains Podiatry bring the pep back in your step. Now seeing patients in Norton and Colby, Kansas. Call today, 877-345-3668.
Welcome back to our final segment of It's Easy to Be Green. I'm Donna Krug with the Cottonwood Extension District. I wanted to share with you something that I found. I was getting ready to teach a class at Jack Kilby Science Day to a bunch of high school kids, and I wanted something that would really relate to them. And so I found a person named Lauren Singer, and she has an interesting blog titled Trash is for Tossers. And what I'm going to share with you, just here the link to it that you just can type into your computer, and you can watch numerous videos from Lauren about her zero trash lifestyle. Her story is neat because she actually was taken an environmental studies class as a senior at a university in New York City where she was living at the time. And it really inspired her. In fact, she went home from the class one day and she thought, oh, I'm such a hypocrite, when she opened up her refrigerator door and she noticed that she had all these things that were plastic and just huge, all these things that could be recycled but were not good to be putting in her trash. So she took it upon herself to live a zero waste lifestyle. Now this next slide is going to really amaze you, because this is another YouTube of Lauren's, and she shares a simple mason jar that holds her trash accumulation for 4 years. And I know that's probably a little hard to comprehend, it is even for me, but I think it's really a unique thought. And I think we probably aren't going to be able to do what Lauren did, because again, not everything that we use from some of the things cannot be recycled, and so we might have more trash than this accumulated. But I do want to leave with you today what I think is so important, and that is to have an understanding of how long does it take for items to decompose in a landfill. So I'm going to share this, and usually when I present the program, we do a little activity, and I don't share the answers with everybody because I want them to work together as a group or an individual and see if they know how long it takes for things to decompose. But because of the way it's set up today, I'm just going to hold some items up and we will talk about it. And we're actually going to talk about things from the least amount of time it takes to the most amount of time. So we're going to actually start down in the lower right-hand corner of our information. And so the first thing we're going to hold up is a paper towel. And a paper towel just takes 2 to 4 weeks to break down. So find a way to reuse that as much as you can and realize that it's going, if it goes into your trash and goes out to the landfill, it's still going to take a certain amount of time to break down. Now with that, I've got the banana peel right here, and you'd think it would be about the same. It could even take a little longer than a paper towel. It kind of depends what the conditions are. If it's hotter, it will decompose more quickly. And actually a newspaper is the next thing up, and that is 6 weeks for a piece of newsprint. And remember, newspaper can be recycled into newsprint again, and so it's a great thing to try to keep out of the landfill. An apple core takes a little more time than a banana peel. It takes about 2 months to break down in a landfill. Then we have a waxed carton such as this that milk might come in. It takes about 3 months for this to break down. And then we go kind of to a bigger jump. In 1 to 3 years, it takes for wood to break down in a compost. And you know, wood is organic material, so we know it will, but again, it has more to do with the amount of it and again, the conditions at that composition or that decomposition site. A wool sock will take about 1 to 5 years to decompose. So again, maybe you can make this work for waxing the car, doing some things, reusing it for some things that would keep it again out of the landfill. I didn't bring a cigarette butt with me, but I do have a plastic bag here, and I know a lot of stores have gone away from using the plastic bags, and I think the reason is very evident, because 10 to 20 years for this to break down in a landfill is a sizable amount of time. Nylon fabric, such as this nylon sock, actually takes 30 to 40 years to break down. A tin can. I have a can here that had some green beans in it, or some peas in it, and it takes actually 50 years to break down the tin in here. And yet, right on the label, it says that it is recyclable. So remember to keep these out of your trash and the landfill. Along with that, I have a rubber-soled shoe in my bag here, and certainly rubber soles are going to take 50 to 80 years. An aluminum can takes 80 to 200 years. And so we know that that is, again, something to try to keep out of the landfill. Plastic beverage bottles. The monofilament line, oh goodness, 600 years to break this down. And finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is my glass bottle here, my glass jar. And basically what I'm telling you is glass is not recyclable. It takes a million years. In fact, it's just not ever going to break down. So keep those things in mind. Today, I hope that you have understood that we are getting back to basics. So kind of to summarize, I want to just remind you to reduce your ecological footprint by consuming less energy and water and reducing your solid waste. We also want to be creative and find multiple uses, just like I've shown you today. Some of the things that you might be able to do to keep it out of your landfill. And then finally, We hope that you will be a recycler after watching today's program. If you aren't already, look into the things that you have recently thrown into the trash and see if there are some things there that could be taken to your recycling center. I know many of our places in the state are starting to actually pick up your recycling. And if that is something that you have available, do take advantage of it. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do that. In our location, we still gather it. We have some great little containers that we put our recycling in. And when it's full, we load it up and take it to our center because we just want to do our part. And that's how I want to leave this with you today. Thank you for doing your part. Find out what is recyclable in your community and do your part. Again, I'm Donna Krug, and it's been fun to bring It's Easy to Be Green to you today. If you would like to get a copy of this fact sheet, just visit the K-State Research and Extension bookstore and ask for this publication.